Didn't we all vote no for The Voice? Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your hashtag not sponsored cheap coffee, and while I have a shot, we're going to look at what's happening in South Australia, where they're bringing in, they've had elections for their state-based voice. Now, could you remind me, what was the outcome of that referendum? Was it a resounding yes? Did we vote for yes for The Voice, or did we vote no? Now, you'll have to forgive me. I grew up in a different time. I grew up in the 80s, where we were taught not to be pushing for race-based decisions. You weren't expected to judge people on their race, but on their character, on their work ethic. Same thing goes for their gender. I remember at university, when I was talking to a lecturer a few times, actually, who was pushing for women in the construction industry, running awards. I mean, why does the fact that you have a vagina mean you're any different to anyone else? Why are you limiting these awards to just women? You can imagine how badly that went. It didn't go over quite well. I think it's a generational thing. You've got the old boomers and the Gen Xers who experienced life very different to millennials, where pretty much no one gives a shit for your, these days, or at least when I was growing up, you didn't give a crap about someone's sexual orientation, someone's race, someone's gender. It was just how hard they worked. Maybe that's just the way I was brought up. So yeah, you can see Germanic heritage coming through there with laziness. I think that's my disgust sensitivity driver there. But it seems to have changed. It seems to have changed. You've now got a whole lot of people that are pushing for race and gender affirmative action everywhere. And don't let the name fool you. These are racist and sexist-based policies that are designed to undermine particular groups for the benefit of others. And one could make the argument that it's righting systemic wrongs, but it's moving us away from a merit-based, equality-based society where opportunities are provided to as many people as possible. And hopefully you can strive to achieve those. But that seems to be a lost way of thinking now. So we voted no for The Voice. Let's look at what we actually voted for, because South Australia's brought one in anyway. And maybe you're thinking, Florida, South Australia, maybe they voted resounding yes for The Voice. They're just responding to their local constituents. No, South Australia is right up there. Hang on, this is the full scroll up to the top here. So we had the referendum on The Voice. 60.1% voted no, 9.4 million people. 39.9% voted yes. This is a resounding defeat, an utter defeat on this policy. My argument was that Indigenous Australians already have a voice to Parliament. It's the same voice that all of us have. They're local representatives. I would suggest rather than pissing all this money away on a referendum, perhaps they should have given more resources to their House of Reps members that have these huge constituencies, which, you've got a lot of people in remote areas. But, that's Albo needed a win. He needed a win, and he didn't get it, which is good, because there's some really, and we're going to look at how they're implementing this in South Australia, there's some, frankly, sexist and racist mechanisms to these voices that are quite offensive to someone of my age, who was brought up in a time when we were when we were taught that these things were wrong. So New South Wales, they voted 59% no, 41% yes. Victoria, 45.9% yes. Is that the highest? It probably is. The state with one of the tiniest Indigenous populations. 54.1% no. Tasmania, 41.1% yes, 58.9% no. South Australia, the one we're discussing here, where they brought in the state-based voice, they're the second highest no vote at 64.2%. as opposed to 35.8%. Then you've got Queensland, 68.2% no, 31.8% yes, a very low yes vote, I think the lowest. Western Australia is right there, third, All the states with significant Indigenous populations voted significantly for no. Funny that, isn't it? And all the states with very low Indigenous populations still voted no, but slightly higher with the yes. Northern Territory voted 39%, and the ACT was the only one that voted yes, which isn't surprising because this is just more bureaucracy, more government, more jobs and opportunities. So there you go. But, I mean, I guess this is all that really matters, isn't it? If you're wanting to implement policy, forget about what the population said. That's dirty populism. We don't want that. That's yucky. Yeah, no. The dumb plebs don't know what they're doing. And, well, there you go. A state that voted 64.2% no to the federal voice to parliament now has one. They've got their own state-based voice to parliament. How would that make you feel if you voted no federally and they've brought it in anyway? This is why people get disenfranchised with the political system. This is why they think voting is a waste of time. I can't blame them. I really can't blame them. The first result in a historic voice to parliament vote are in, with 2 parts of South Australia's Indigenous-led advisory body now declared. Election for the state-based body took place on March 16th, with Indigenous South Australians voting in representatives across 6 regions encompassing the state. So only Indigenous Australians can vote. This is a race-based vote. This is the opposite of bringing people together. This is dividing them by their groups. We're going backwards. I remember I was talking to an Aboriginal guy at uni. A young guy. He was studying in the same, I think, the interior design, the same field. And we used to run these extracurricular activities where it was what we call it peer-to-peer. And, people rock up, pay $10, and we would get our tutorial on using AutoCAD or Rivet or SketchUp or even, EndNotes for writing references. Just helping each other, usually us from the higher years, teaching the younger years, all these skills that the university doesn't teach you. And as a student, you get frustrated, but the older you get, I'm telling you, you don't want the uni to teach you this because they'll do a shit job of it. They will charge you a shitload in hex to teach you these skills. And most of the time, you'll find better courses online. We're just here to give you an intro. And we had one guy who was coming to these courses. He loved them. He really enjoyed it. And I remember talking to him because we'd have the pizza party and, you'd hit the bar afterwards, all of us. And he was telling me how they had 2 uni games. They had the uni games for all of us, for everyone. Then they had a separate Indigenous-only uni games. And I was flabbergasted and shocked at the realization that we had segregated sports in Australia in the 21st century. My first question is, how are people going to mix and mingle? Doesn't it defeat the whole purpose? But there you go, guys. So these type of things seem offensive to me. They seem regressive. Perhaps I'm in the minority, or I'm just old trans boomer, geriatric millennial from a time in the past. We need to address these systematic issues and have these racist policies, keep groups separate to make them feel better. It just feels disgusting. We should be bringing people together and uniting together. These things are separating people into different groups. And oh no, okay, Indigenous Australians are frustrated with their political representation. Welcome to the club. All of us are. It's because a lot of them will tell you one thing and do the absolute other. On Monday, the state's Electoral Commission declared the victors for Regions 2 and 3. Region 2 takes in South Australia's remote north from Inaminka near the Queensland border and Cooper-Pedy in the centre through to the sparsely populated APY lands in the northwest. After the distribution of preferences, Mark Campbell, Jonathan Lloyds, and Christopher Dodd were declared the winning male candidates. So now we're splitting candidates based on gender. Oh, come on. Melissa Thompson, Dharma Decluse-Singer, and Dawn Brown took out the female positions. So there you go. Donald Fraser nabbed a spot reserved for a representative of any gender. I mean, is this where we're at now? Ensuring gender-based representation in Parliament. And people actually, they think that it makes a difference in your capabilities. After preferences, Charles Jackson, Rob Singleton, Ralph Colhart took out the male candidate positions. Laven Ngoikuru, Kerry Colhart, and Candice Champion secured 3 female slots. TJ was elected as the representative of any gender. The SA Voice is structured to ensure male and female representation on each of the 6 local voices. Of the 6 regions, 5 have 7 elected members and 1, the Central Region, has 11. Now, this is a costly exercise. The Central Voice has more members because of its greater Indigenous population. The 6 local voices then select 2 junior presiding members from their own ranks to form a 12-member state voice, joint presiding members, that advises state government directly. I mean, state government would have significant resources, significant people working in the field. And you've got House, is it called the House of Reps in South Australia? You have to let me know. You've got their elected representatives at the state level. It's their job. You're duplicating their job. Give them more resources. The state voice hears the views of each local voice, forms statewide views and positions, and presents these views to the South Australian Parliament, its ministers and chief executives of the public service. Surely there'd be enough lobbying groups you could do that. This should be privatised. In South Australia, the South Australian Labor government established the voice with the 2023 First Voice Nations Act. For millennia, Aboriginal people thrived. Come on. Okay, they didn't thrive. They eked out an existence on one of the harshest continents of the world. And that should be admired. Okay? I mean, bloody hell, how many Aussies today couldn't even handle camping in the bush? And you had people here surviving on what's a glorified desert with a strip of green at the edge. Since colonisation, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have faced unacceptable levels of disadvantage. It is now intended that there be a platform for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people to have better be heard by government so they can have more of a say in the decisions that affect their lives. Maybe we need to start dropping, some Ayn Rand books in some of these communities. Translate them into the local dialects so they can realise that the government officials who come and say they're here to help, maybe they're the reason why your town's still got very little jobs or opportunities. Remember when we talked about Minabee, the little opal mining town, when you had all the eccentric characters there? We even interviewed a lady from there. Shut down. And we did a follow-up video. Town's been completely gutted, destroyed, everything. And rather than because they handed it back to APY, rather than looking at options for, okay, here's opal mining. This is an industry where people could be employed, where they could create jobs, where they could find products and sell things of value. It's all just this tokenistic shit of, okay, you can regenerate the land, not try and create opportunities. Or is this just a cultural difference? I doubt it is. Every state in Australia rejected the voice to Parliament. South Australia recorded 64% no vote, with all of its federal electorates voting to reject constitutional change. They voted no. The results for Regions 4 and 5, which encompass Riverland, Southeast and Western Coast areas, come out on Tuesday, with Regions 1 to 6, which take in Central York, mid-north parts of the state, are expected on Wednesday. The South Australian Electoral Commission will run future voice elections every 4 years, scheduled for the same time as state elections. The elections employ a single transferable vote system, which means candidates are required to obtain a quota of the formal votes in order to become elected. The quota, or minimum number of votes required to win a position, ensures that winning candidates are elected with a near equal number of votes, the Commission said. For Region 2, Mr. Campbell was elected in the first position with what the hell? 70 votes. 70 votes. There were 305 total votes for Region 2, 308 total votes for Region 3. Another... What the hell is this? Look at the money you're pissing away on this entire infrastructure. Just send all the voters a check. Here you go. Improve your lives. You need an entire system of parliament so 70 people can have their say. An entire new infrastructure. How much did the South Australian Electoral Commission spend on this? Every 4 years. So those 70 people... Sorry, that's only, a fifth. Let's have a chat about this one, guys. Well, there you go. I guess we're in a different time now. Yeah. Perhaps I'm just too old and cynical to believe that government is going to solve your problems. That could be the inherent bias I have towards the growth of more government. That's all this is. More government, more talking, more representation. People voted no. And Labor ignored it. They don't care. They know better. This is the mentality we see all throughout. We're seeing it in superannuation. They know better than the dumb plebs. You're too stupid to manage your own money. We can do a better job. We'll force you to save. Well, I'm seeing it in the comments that are coming on the home education video. One that is truly quite offensive. A teacher saying, "Oh, I've seen these kids. They can never, they're limited by the intelligence level of their parents." And which is I found that quite offensive. Because, frankly, my response after a bit of back and forth was, well, do I want to send my kids to a school where the OP, the entry requirements for a degree in education, is one of the lowest ones? And the grad cert that people would do to become a teacher later in the career, that was the backup you had. That was the backup career when you wanted to, pull back from your real career. And of course, they took a bit, then they started complaining while I was being mean when they're saying that, stupid homeschooling parents. This is the mentality. People think they know better than you. Guys, there you go. You voted no. Now you got, someone with 70 votes getting to have easier, more access to elected representatives. What's the point? What's the point? Let's set up another voice for German Australians. Bald YouTuber men. Every demographic needs to be represented. Well, let's see what the outcomes of this are. What do you reckon? As always, take care. I'll see you next time.